NATO member states Poland, Estonia, Latvia and Lithuania have triggered NATO Article 4 to launch consultations within the alliance over Russia's attack on Ukraine. The parties will consult together whenever, in the opinion of any of them, the territorial integrity, political independence or security of any of the parties is threatened, Article 4 of the North Atlantic Treaty says. According to the NATO website, consultation under Article 4 can lead to collective action among the 30 member states. The website says Article 4 has been invoked 6 times previously since the alliance formed in 1949, most recently by Turkey in February 2020 after dozens of Turkish soldiers were killed by an attack by Syrian government forces in opposition-held areas of northern Syria. Turkey has invoked Article 4 on 4 other occasions, once in 2015 to inform the alliance of its response to terrorist attacks in the country, twice in 2012 after a Turkish warplane was shot down in northern Syria and after Turkish civilians were killed by Syrian shelling, and in 2003 when it asked for alliance help to protect its population from any spillover from the war in neighboring Iraq. On 2 of those occasions, NATO responded with military aid, sending Patriot missile batteries to protect against Syrian attacks in 2012 and sending aircraft and missile batteries to southeastern Turkey along the border with Iraq in 2003. Poland invoked Article 4 in 2014 after previous Russian aggression in Ukraine, a meeting that resulted in further alliance efforts to stand together against any threats. Article 4 is separate from Article 5, which is the alliance's declaration that an attack against one member is considered an attack against all. Before the crack of dawn, just before explosions began in cities across Ukraine, Russian state television unexpectedly broadcast an address by Russian President Vladimir Putin. The 2 self-proclaimed People's Republics of Donetsk and Luhansk, in the breakaway Ukrainian region of Donbass, which he had officially recognized as independent less than 2 days before, had turned to Russia with a request for help, he said. To answer that call, he was launching a special military operation. Its purpose: to demilitarize and denazify Ukraine. Within minutes, Russian missiles began hitting targets in Ukraine. Our actions are self-defense against threats, he told his fellow Russians, claiming Moscow had no plans to occupy Ukraine. We do not plan to impose ourselves on anyone, he insisted. Putin described the special military operation, in limited terms, to protect people living in Donbass who, he claimed, had been subjected to genocide, a charge that Ukraine has strenuously denied. But in the next breath, he lashed out more broadly: NATO supports Ukrainian neo-Nazis. Our actions are self-defense against threats. Then, in an extraordinary passage, he spoke directly to members of Ukraine's military, at that very moment in the crosshairs of the Russian military. Addressing them as "dear comrades," he told them they had taken an oath of allegiance to the Ukrainian people, and not to the anti-people junta that is robbing Ukraine and abuses those same people. Don't follow its criminal orders, he demanded. I urge you to lay down your weapons and go home. As he has done so many times before, Putin claimed Russia had no choice but to defend itself. With a hard-edged tone in his voice, he seemed to threaten the US, Europe and NATO which, in just a few minutes, would witness his armed forces opening fire on Ukraine, something the Kremlin had consistently dismissed as Western hysterics. Whoever tries to interfere with us, and even more so, to create threats for our country, for our people, should know that Russia's response will be immediate and will lead you to such consequences that you have never experienced in your history. We are ready for any development of events. All necessary decisions in this regard have been made. Putin, who for years had criticized the West for ignoring his complaints about NATO's expansion toward Russia's borders, was finally striking back with fury. I hope, he concluded his short address, that I have been heard.